Good morning. Welcome to
Chill out a
Bacon
second.
and Chill Vibes High Gaming. Don't have the mic today to do this. Welcome to Bacon and Hash this Monday morning. We are here as usual. We have Trevor Morrissey on the show today.
How's it going?
Trevor, why don't you introduce yourself, huh?
Yeah, I'm Trevor Morrissey. I'm the district manager for Wisconsin. So I started off in Fond du Lac as a store manager. From there, moved to the regional of our south area, and now I'm helping overlook all the stores in Wisconsin. Just help them out wherever I can, give them guidance or advice whenever they need it. That kind of stuff, day to day operation wise. So yeah.
Big dog.
True OG, yeah, big dog. Did you guys start at the same time? We were at the first Appleton store.
I was like late April of 2021, early May.
Yeah, I was in Fond du Lac. So second store, I think that was what, February 2021?
It's just a couple months before me.
Yeah.
Look at that, and just both familiar with the first Appleton location. That's all I remember. I just remember being in there and sitting in a circle and hashing out some plans.
Yeah, I do recall.
I remember way back when you were
circle.
rocking the regional for the North, I believe, Brandon, stopping by every week or so. It was the good old days.
Yeah, that was right before I became the regional of the South, because Brandon was basically the regional of the South at that point too. So,
So yeah, that's crazy. So Trevor is now in the. I was in those shoes, the Wisconsin, but there wasn't as many as there are now.
Right.
But yeah, Trevor in that role has lots of locations. What, 11? I think it's 11. So
coming up on.
If you're watching, you know we have goddamn 19 of these dispensary locations, I think, at this point, and Trevor runs with about half of them. Oh, check it out. Yeah, we got some. I'm sorry on the comments here, guys. People got Trevor getting some shout outs. Very popular guy.
Some goat emojis in there.
Look at all this action. Look at all this action you got in here.
I see some goat emojis. Justin. Well, you guys know what we do. We get bring on some of the staff. We let you meet them. Trevor's being an OG. We got some questions. I tend to have the same questions. JB here, of course, always throwing some curveballs. Dog only here for Trevor. He has true fans.
Stop.
Trevor, what's your favorite part of your day? What's your favorite part of the position that you're in?
That's a good question. I mean, I would say probably my overall favorite part of the day or part of the position is probably just the day-to-day interactions I get to have, whether it be with customers or staff. I really enjoy working with the customers. When I first came on board, I thought it was going to be like I was a stoner, hippy dippy. I was like, I'm going to get to work with all these stoners and sell all these THC products. But then early on into my tenure, I realized it actually was way more rewarding to find the people who actually use the product to get benefits out of it for whether it be like trouble sleeping, pain management, stuff like that. And getting to see somebody's face the second trip into the store after they tried a product that like really worked. And they come in and they're like, hey, I slept for the first time since high school last night because of the products I got. Or they finally got some joint pain management that they haven't had in the past, or they had to get through, say, prescription pills. Just getting to see those reactions is probably very much near the top tier of my side of things of what I enjoy. Otherwise, the staff, I'm a big people person. I like working with people. I like helping people try to be better if we can. Even like Justin here, I get to work with Justin a lot more than I ever used to get to. So in that sense, it's like cool to get different points of views, different eyes on it, different struggles. From even when I was a manager, there's a whole lot of different systems put into place now than when I was even a manager. So it's cool to get humbled from time to time by seeing like the perspective of the stores now and what they go through and getting to shift my perspective around a little bit. So I'm a big fan of POV. I'm a big fan of getting different eyes on different situations or problems, stuff like that. And I would say that is probably one of my favorite parts of the day to day. So yeah.
I like working with you too, Trevor.
Hey, always Jay, always Justin.
Oh, my word with Trevor. Likes to go in my office when I'm not there and move things around on me.
What you know
You'll-
about Star Wars? I walk in there. I gotta get a little bit of a break from time to time throughout the day. So when I am up in HQ, I do like to chat with all the corporate team members. I don't get to see them all every single day. So when I do get in there and I do get the chance to just have some general conversation, see how they're doing, all that. Brandon, aka Jason Mimosa, right here, he tries to be kind of, he tries to be a little bit on that nerdy side of things like I am. So when I come in there, I like to poke his brain and just see what he knows, what you know about Star Wars, what you know about X-Men, what you know about Dune, that kind of stuff. That's probably a close third, Brandon, if I'm going to be honest, of favorite parts of the day is just getting to walk in and quiz corporate on random stuff.
There's gonna be a time soon here for any of the movie buffs out there. I have to catch one of these shows that Trevor's talking about. Doom, the new Marvel, always any Marvel. JB, I don't know how much you know about your Marvel, but
Big Marvel guy.
yeah, he's on this new Marvel X-Men 87 or whatever, 97.
97 is good. It's top tier,
And
really solid.
Hell yeah.
so yeah, he likes to. I love this. Goes all the way back to the Shack. Actually, I'd say me and Trevor used to work at Whistling Straits before all this. I'm sure you've heard this story before, but Justin probably has. But we go we go way back at this point. It's probably
Yeah.
fucking 10 years at this
10
point. But
plus. Yep.
yeah, Trevor and I used to just sit in the caddy shack. If you, oh no, my thing died.
Smooth. I'll carry on with the
Yeah.
story that Brandon was talking about. We used to sit in that caddy shack. You'd have 50 to 100 people just sitting around waiting to go out on their loop. Me and Brandon, we'd just be sitting in the back, one of the tables, just talking complete dweeby geek nonsense for hours. Just whether it be theories about where the MCU was going, or whether it be who's our favorite Jedi or who's our favorite Sith. We used to just sit and discuss anything we could discuss in Nerdville. We would discuss. We just sit back there for hours.
There's a lot of wait time in that gig, so I always think about this if I'm having a tough day and think about where we're at in the company. Anybody who's watching from the dispensary, shoot that job for 4 hours a day with no actual job, and that was half the job. And then you finally got to go get after 4 hours of waiting. It's called wait times. And so me and Trevor would just have hours on hours of talking. That's where we bring up those stories. But that's a tough gig. I don't ever want to go just waiting for 4 hours of just sitting around. Seriously, what do we do?
Sometimes longer. Days like today where you get a little bit of rain. You'd be out there, you'd be sitting at the golf course. People don't want to go out and golf during the storm, so then they can wait. If the players are waiting, we had to wait. Which at times it was a blessing because it'd be sweet, we get to hang out, chill out a little bit longer. But when that 4 hour wait time turns into a 6 or 7 hour wait time because of storms, yeah, it's a day. It can definitely become a day.
Old caddy tales. But anyway, yeah. So, we got a question here. What's your favorite? Okay, I've asked this to Trevor many a time. He knows this. What's your favorite superhero story? I guess your favorite superhero.
It's really that's a super tough question because I think with all the different properties out there and all the different brands, even there's a lot of variety right now, especially in the comic book scene. But I always go back to Death in the Family is a big one. Killing Joke is always a big one. Any of the OG Spider-Man original stories are going to be some of my top tiers. Anything with a Sinister Six. I also, up until there was a little bit of a hiatus put onto X-Men comics, used to just love all the old school X-Men comics. And now we're going to probably start seeing some more stories come out for them, which is really cool. But even then, like, I know this isn't necessarily my favorite superhero story, but like Invincible, the actual graphic novel of it all, fantastic. Umbrella Academy, all these ones that are now having shows made, they're being made into shows for specific reasons because the stories themselves were just fantastic. So when I really think about it, I always come back to like Year One, Death in the Family, stuff like that. Those are always top tiers for me.
So
Great question. Superman versus Homelander. Who's got the
Oh,
win?
Ooh.
depends on who's writing that one because, as we all know, the victor is decided by whoever writes the story. Um, I think Superman has a great range of abilities and powers and everything that would help him in the situation. I think the one difference, and depending on the Superman we're talking about, if we're talking just a standardized Clark Kent Superman, Homelander's got that ruthlessness in him. You know, he's got that dog in him. So I
Especially
think there's something.
too, and just
Yeah,
goes fully crazy. Yeah.
I agree. There's something there with it that when you make it into a straight street fight, there's going to be an advantage given to Homelander in that sense. So, depending on the version of Superman, I think there are Superman that definitely would compete and definitely put down Homelander. But I think if we're looking at just a standardized Superman, Homelander's ruthlessness, uh, his willingness to do whatever, honestly, to win would be a big plus to him. So.
Now, if it was the Superman, the black suit Superman that didn't care as much, you still got to go into Homelander.
I think it's just a brawl. I think you end up with like the Earth destroyed.
Yeah.
Like at that point, do I care who wins? Because the Earth probably just is rubble at that point.
Right.
I love those.
Great question.
Here you go. Left Turn by the Dog.
Here we go.
Favorite strain currently.
Oh, if we're talking, I'm just gonna go with Flower. It's funny because seeing all the different stores, I get to see like different strains move at different speeds across the state based off what people are pushing. But it's funny because one that always kind of hangs around and it's one of our more staple ones is OPP, Orange Push
Yeah.
Pop. I'm a big Orange Push Pop fan, just in general. I will say we did have a
OPP.
strain for anybody who got to try it back in the day when we were first getting our THCA in. The Sugar Bear was phenomenal. That's one I'm always hoping I see come back through, and I hope it's the exact same one because it was just top tier.
Postal education for the people out there. It's the topic of the meeting this morning. We do have different batches. Make sure you pay attention to the batch. The batch information. I believe it's a sample ID we're labeling for. So you could have a different, but hopefully it's the same for Trevor's sake.
Yeah,
This one here has been tossed around I don't know how many times, and Trevor seems to think is the strongest superhero out there. I know that
I think
I've had a
Flash
hard
is.
time with that.
Flash is the strongest too.
I think he's got one of the most impressive power sets that can give him an edge on so many people.
People
And
just
yet,
think fast, but it's so much more than that.
it's so much more than just fast in the grand scheme. And I'll come back to the actual question, but yeah, we have had this conversation multiple times in a corporate level. I've had this conversation with so many people. I think the Flash is the jam. Just next, he's like next level compared to so many superheroes out there just because of his speed and what he can do with it. But in terms of who's the better Flash, I'm partial. I'm going to go nostalgia and go with Barry Allen. And there's not a whole lot of justification. Wally West, in his own right, is phenomenal. Has a lot of great stories. But something with the nostalgia of it is like, who's the best Spider-Man? Usually, I'm going to go with like Peter Parker. Do I think Miles Morales or do I think like any of the other branches of the Spider-Verse are phenomenal? Yes. But who introduced me to the character is kind of how I always fall back to it. Barry Allen introduced me to the Flash. Peter Parker introduced me to Spider-Man. Those guys are going to always be the staple for me in the grand scheme. Now, in terms of who's better, if we were looking at like a logistical side of it all, again, it just matters of who's writing the story and what the story entails because whoever they're fighting, whoever the writer wants to win is going to win. And depending on who they're fighting, you might get the Flash soloing you might get a story of Flash soloing Superman with his hands tied behind his back. Would that be logical or make the most sense? Not always, but depending on the circumstances, that's going to win. So better is subjective, but in terms of who I like more or who I'm more partial to, probably Barry.
That's a great point too. That because I believe depending on who wrote it, there are two different versions of that answer also. Where in terms of like better, because at one point they had Wally only being able to pass through the speed of sound, whereas Barry Allen could move through the speed of light. And eventually, then another writer, I believe it was, wrote that essentially it was just Wally giving himself a mental block, and that he eventually does surpass Barry. So it's like you said, whoever writes it.
It's called a retcon. Retcons happen all the time out there. When they want to change something up, make it canon, you're going to see a retcon come through. You're going to see them adjust some power levels, stuff like that.
There's a lot of this. I would bet there's a couple people watching out there that don't agree with this whole Flash thing.
I know for sure there are. That's fine. That's the beauty of having conversations. We can have different opinions, but I'll defend it all day. I've done it. I'll have multiple conversations.
All you got to do is triple. That's all you got to do is triple.
That's such a simplified reaction.
Triple. All right.
Overly simplified.
Very nice. I like those questions. Do you have now? What are your passions outside of gaming? We know this is an esports thing. Usually, we got a lot of the esports people in here. But yeah, Trevor, I know you used to game. I know you used to pick up the sticks here and there.
Yeah, I mean, I still try to game when I can. I don't have nearly as much time. It's actually really unfortunate because we're in a day and age where there's a lot of good games that have been continuously coming out every month or every couple months. Typically end up getting the game, typically end up playing like 5-10, maybe like 5 hours on it throughout like a month. And then a new game comes out, I get that game. So I've been in a lot of rinse and repeat, so my collection's growing. I just haven't had as much time. But outside of video games, I'm huge into board games. I like competition. I'm cool with losing. Losing's whatever. It's part of the game. But competition itself is a huge aspect of me. So anything that has like a sense of competition, whether it be trivia nights at a bar or board games with my fiance or board games with groups of friends or just whatever it might be, betting on going to a brewer game and betting on just different outcomes just to make it a little bit more enticing amongst ourselves. I'm always for that kind of stuff. And then outside of the competition, I'm big into woodworking. I don't have as much time to get to woodworking, but it's always been a passion of mine in general. And then on top of that, I would say probably one of my biggest things that I fall back on in terms of like relaxation / enjoyment outside of like work or games. I have dogs. I have 3 dogs. I have a Boston Terrier, a Golden Retriever, and a Klee Kai Boston mix. So a little miniature husky, essentially. When I can get some spare time, I'm big into spending it with them, taking them for walks, hikes, taking them to dog parks, training. I've always been big into dog training itself. I think there's a cool interest in the psychology behind dogs. So in that sense, I'm always for that kind of stuff and trying to further how I train and how I go about training. So yeah. Otherwise, THC has always been a massive passion of mine.
A man of many trades. JB Fire, you got something for him. Would you like to know about Trevor?
I'm sorry, you cut out there for a second for me. What?
Go ahead, fire away. You got anything for T-Dog?
Ooh. Let's see. What initially, I know you said that you knew Brandon, and I'm assuming that there was some kind of like conversation had. I guess what initially drew you into cannabis, I guess?
Oh yeah, that's actually pretty straightforward. My dad was always your stereotypical hippie dippy stoner type of guy. Hard worker, grinded his whole life. My entire life I've known him. He's always been a work grinder. He was a painter. He came out to caddy towards the end of his career of working. Came out to caddy, and he just has always been very open about it. Always very not like bashing about the stigma or taboo that kind of surrounds cannabis, but he's always been very straightforward and bluntly honest about it towards me and like my siblings. Um, so he was a big aspect of me getting into like honestly just getting into cannabis throughout my life. But then through Brandon, like Brandon got to know me and my family pretty well. Brandon knew that my whole family had a mutual enjoyment and passion towards cannabis in general. So when they were looking to expand into the Fond du Lac area, which is where I live, Brandon just hit me up to be like, "Hey, do you want to go back to carrying bags, which is a great gig, great job, but it can be very stressful, long days, wear and tear on the body? Or Trev, I happen to know you like cannabis. I'm looking to open up a little THC shop that's coming through the Fond du Lac area. You got any interest working there?" And it was pretty much Brandon. I don't think I had any real hesitation that I can remember. I'm pretty sure it was just like work in a retail store that's based around cannabis and THC. Yeah, let's full send that.
I don't have to drive to Sheboygan every day. Yeah.
Don't have to drive to Sheboygan. Don't have to sit and wait 2 to 4 hours just to go on a loop where I might get downpoured on or have a lottery coin flip of a group that's cool or not cool. Like, yeah, I'll take a little consistency in my life.
Right. So were you like a pretty regular
probably,
user before you started here then?
Yeah. I grew up in a household where it was pretty much accepted once you were 18.
Sure.
Like my parents were very strict about school. They were very much like, you guys are going to focus on school. You're going to focus on sports. You're going to be kids. You know, like it was very much like we had one rule that I always think back to at my household, and I tell people it all the time. But my dad and mom's main rule to us was, don't draw the heat. Like as long as you guys aren't bringing the heat home, you guys have freedom to kind of do whatever you'd like. And we just took them serious on that. So once I turned 18, I don't think I smoked until I was 18. After I turned 18, it was very quickly that I was like, I see nothing wrong with this. It helps me chill out, helps me relax. I don't see any hugely negative ramifications from me consuming this natural plant. So I started to. And I would say at that point, yeah, it became a pretty consistent used thing in my life.
Sure.
Right. Dang, that's exactly how that went.
Yeah. It's actually crazy, Justin, something for you that I think you might find interesting, and I know a lot of people know this about me now, is I actually don't smoke nearly as much as I used to.
No, I figured, especially just with how busy everything is getting.
Yeah, like I used to smoke even when I was like working in a store. I wouldn't smoke all day, but I'd step out back and take puffs throughout the day, stuff like that. And now I just like with the balance of everything to try to make sure I still keep a clear head to deal with any kind of situations that pop throughout the day. I pretty much don't smoke until the end of the night. I don't consume until usually around 9:30, 10 o'clock. All the stores are shut. I know everyone's got all their stuff locked down. All the alarms are good to go. Like I'm not sitting there in a panic of, oh my gosh, am I about to get a phone call? Which to me, smoking is all about the headspace I put myself in, and I don't want to sit there and be anxious or paranoid that I'm going to get a bunch of phone calls in that now I have to deal with. So, yeah, usually not until like probably about 10 o'clock at night do I consume for the first time in a day.
For sure.
Weed responsibly.
Weed responsibly. Weed responsibly. That's the truth.
Yeah, tying it back, shout out to the dispensary itself. Thank you for we are sponsoring. This is the prayer. Shout out to the dispensary.
Oh, what is our? I don't think we ever mentioned our featured strain for today.
I don't think we have either. This episode brought to you by Oreo Mai Tai.
Yes.
Give me one sec. Do you want to break it down,
I
JP?
was gonna say I could just talk about it. I got to indulge shortly before jumping on today, just as we were kind of finishing up here. So yeah, definitely a really nice, relaxing. I would say relaxing, but not like put you to sleep relaxing. Just kind of help put your mind at ease, kind of anti-anxiety, anti-stress. Definitely got quite a few things going on, but whether it's at work and just on the personal side, so definitely helped out a lot with that. Definitely noticed a little bit less back pain than normal, so I feel like helping out with that a little bit was pretty nice. Smells and looks beautiful, and yeah, just really nice smoke overall.
Gonna look at it here. This is your Oreo. Looking pretty
I'd
crispy
say
today.
like 7.8 out of 10.
7.8 out of 10. I'm just pulling up a little info, trying to give us some percentages. Oreo Mai Tai, 24 to 29%. This is a
It's definitely
hybrid
smooth.
strain.
Absolutely,
You've had it as
yeah.
well, Trevor.
Yep. I think I've smoked it twice now, and the first thing I'm always like, and this is kind of person to person, I would imagine in the grand scheme of things, smoothness is actually one of the biggest things about smoking for me that's important. So
Sure.
like, whereas some people worry more about the flavor or like the actual effects they're carrying through, a lot of times for me, it's mainly about how smooth the actual consumption is. So, and I tend to smoke more than I do like eat edibles, stuff like that. But Oreo Mai Tai was one that I definitely recall. Like, took a puff, enjoyed it, took another puff shortly after, and usually right around then is where I start kind of gauging how harsh it is going to be on me. And Oreo Mai Tai was very, very smooth across the board. So
I agree. Do you prefer to smoke out of papers or glass, or what's your preferred method?
all about the circumstance, brother. You know,
Sure.
like if I'm with a group of friends, if I'm with like a group of friends, paper. I'll
Yeah.
smoke out of like some kind of pre-roll, some kind of uh cigar style smoking, you know what I mean, in that sense. But if it's me at home and I'm chilling, I live a very low key life, and I'm typically taking a puff or two. So like in that sense, I'm not one to typically roll like a pre roll at home and just smoke the whole pre roll.
Right.
Instead, I'll pack a water pipe and just take it as one clean hit, and then go back downstairs later when I want to smoke next. So it kind of just depends on who I'm with, what the circumstance is, stuff like that. But in a social setting, almost always paper of sorts, and then if I'm home alone, usually I use glass.
Okay.
Big paper guy too in a social setting. Nice blunt. Nice.
Yeah.
You know.
I guess I'm the minority. I like glass better. For me, it's just always smooth, or you don't get like the resi stuff on your mouth.
I do agree it's typically smoother for me at least. But again, I just let it dictate off of what everyone's vibing or who's with the group at the time. Yeah.
For sure.
I got a good one up here. Seem to welcome Sack back in action. Trevor's dream rotation.
Oh, there you go.
Oh,
Sounds interesting. Well, let's put it. Well, I guess what, three
Cap on
people? Or
3 people.
oh, buddy. How many people?
3.
3? All right. All right. It's going to get a little bit crazy.
Oh boy.
And can it be any rotation of anybody who has been alive, or do they have to
Dead
be
or alive.
alive? Oh, dude. Okay. First 2 right off the rip. I'm not even joking. I've thought about these 2, smoking with these 2 people individually for so long. Albert Einstein, Stan Lee.
Okay.
2 wildly interesting people. Albert Einstein, like, I just would love to see how this dude functions if he was absolutely ripped. So you throw him into a rotation, you take away any kind of like, you just take away any types of tie downs on him and just let him get absolutely blazed. Would love to see how that goes. Would love to poke, ask him some random weird high thought questions, see how he responds to those. Stan Lee. And I've oftentimes thought about substituting Stan Lee for like Jack Kirby, because Jack Kirby does a lot of the art side of things, and I think you could get just like the way their brains work would be super fascinating to have conversations with if they were absolutely blazed. And then I would probably put my third person as like a standard stereotypical stoner reach one, which is like you throw Snoop Dogg in there. Yeah, like you throw Snoop Dogg in there, would be pretty baller just because of all the ties in. Now, if I was talking to my dad, I'd probably say Cheech or Chong, throw one of them in there because of the historical relevance that comes with them in the industry. And just like you could have wild, wild conversations around the industry, but then also outside of the industry of their own personal like stories that they have going on. So yeah, I'd probably go like Albert Einstein, Stan Lee, and I'd probably go Cheech. I think Cheech would just be a super, super, super enjoyable rotation.
You think they'd all get along?
You give them all a couple puffs and they would.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah.
And they probably did smoke. I agree. Like that's
I could see
That's
Albert
something that
Einstein getting down.
I bet you every single one of them at some point smoked in their.
I know
in
he
their,
smoked tobacco for sure, Einstein, and I know that there was like a lot of connection between like physicists and jazz musicians back in like the 20s, 30s. So you never know. Plus, with that hair, maybe he just didn't care because he was stoned. You know?
Yeah, exactly. He was faded.
Yeah. You said E equals marijuana times squared.
Marijuana cannabis squared.
I had to add that to the questions. We're gonna add that to the regular questions because that one's a good one.
Oh, that is a good question. I got another kind of like more business sided question for you, Trevor.
Yeah.
As somebody that oversees so many stores and so many individual employees, what do you feel is the most important traits about you for managing and dealing with so many different types of personalities?
Yeah, that's another question I think about often. Gets brought up quite a bit, and I think one of the biggest ones. And I'm not perfect at this. I don't think anybody's ever going to be perfect at this, but communication. Communication is such a massive aspect of what I do on a day-to-day basis. Just making sure people are on the same pages, have an understanding of what we're trying to get done, whether it be day by day or month by month. So I put communication at the top of that, and then another big quality or attribute in the same sense would be like I don't know the proper wording for it, but open-mindedness / like empathy, because at the end of the day, we're all humans, we're all working, we're all living our lives. So to understand situational things that can pop up on a day-to-day and trying to work with people rather than like getting angry or pushing them out of the way and being like, no, then I'll just find somebody to do this. It's about how can we work around what's going on in each other's lives to one, get the stuff done that we have to outside of work, but then also get the work priority stuff done right off the rip. And then adaptability. This is something I've noticed since day one of our company. I preach it to people all the time. Half the time, things change in this company that are not in my control. A lot of stuff changes in this company that's not in your control, Justin, or a bud tender in our shops. And all we can control is a saying I tell people is change is inevitable. It's going to happen. We can't control that. The only thing we can control in regards to change is how we respond to it. So at the end of the day, is it easy to get worked up about certain things? Yes. But at the end of the day, also, I'm here to help the company grow, be better, and help individuals be better. So when stuff changes that's not in our control, be fluid. Be fluid like water, be adaptable. Understand that we're going to give something a try. We're going to test it out. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, a lot of times we're going to go back to the drawing board and come up with another solution or option of what we can try. So, yeah, I mean, adaptability, communication, and then empathy / openness to hear people's sides of situations and their points of views.
Got to be adaptable.
Adaptable.
This company growth changes the everything. Like you got to. I don't know if we've experienced it, but I think 3 separate times now we've been in this kind of growth phase.
Yep.
And each time has been a little bit easier, but you start to learn to adapt with just whatever the hell's going on out there. We had what Kakana, and I know we're kind of hitting a snag with Kakana, but it's still happening. If we weren't talking about it, and we weren't continuously just always kind of being about it and talking about it, it would never happen. I think that's where a lot of businesses don't follow through. Where we keep pushing, we will just keep on pushing. It might be a month later, 2 months later, but the stores do open, and they end up being pretty cool. So I know Justin is awaiting the Kakana, which, by the way, fellas, I was going to say in the meeting today, I don't want to sidetrack it, but if we do the Kakana thing, like even something as simple as like find a food truck for the open day, and
Yeah.
I'll make that an event, and so we don't have to talk about cannabis at all. We just food truck at this location.
I could possibly line something up. I might know somebody.
Yeah, dude, get us talking with somebody, and I'll work with them to just take a picture, use whatever pictures they had. I don't care.
Sounds
and
good.
Yeah.
We're just going to food truck people look at here. Hiring DTG. I don't know at this point. Well, there's been a lot of movement. Check out the careers page at the dispensary website. Zach would like to know if you golf, Trevor. Trevor, he played with me in Hawaii 2 years ago, however long ago that was now. I think that's the extent of his game. The last time he played.
The last time I played?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I even probably played, if I'm being honest. The last game I probably Baldur's Gate 3.
Oh, solid game.
He's talking about golf, brother.
Oh, golf. My bad. I cut out a little bit on that one. Might be. The last time I actually golfed was, honestly, it was probably with Tom. Tom from HR. Tom, our HR director. He brought me out to a golf outing for the company, and I went and played. I think it was like a year ago.
And then before that,
I did not get out nearly as much. What was that, Brandon?
I know Trevor. I know. No, that's it. And before that was Hawaii.
Almost for sure.
I know Trevor's getting tied up here. He's got to go get some actual eye exam, get his eyes figured out. So gonna buzz through the esports community. If you guys don't know anybody watching, it's been busy. I was out of the state for this weekend, but it seems like people have been pretty active. Hey JB.
Yeah, definitely. We've pretty much anytime I go in there, there's at least one group of people in some voice chat. There's people talking all day long, sending in pictures, sending in art, sending in different stuff. Really cool community that we've built, and very excited to see where it's at and where it's going to be going. I know that we've been talking about some stuff behind the scenes. Always keep improving. So very exciting. I'm glad you're back this week. We can get some more stuff rolling. Look at that. I could destroy that right now.
Oh yeah. On that note, I know there's a holiday weekend. Anybody out there traveling, doing stuff like that, stay safe. A little crazy out there. I got destroyed, absolutely destroyed by these flies to the point where I was bleeding on my leg. Like I was getting chewed up. Dude, my leg is just messed up.
I hear the mosquitoes and ticks are real bad this time of year too.
Yeah, ticks are.
I woke up on Saturday, middle of the night, and found one on me.
God.
I know. So watch out, anybody out there. It's pretty tough right now. We are close to 1,000 members, correct?
Who is going to be our 1,000th? I don't know. I feel like we should do something for 1,000.
We're at 981. So yes, anybody would like to get involved, a little bit more involved with the esports digital community here that we've built. We do video games. We have people. Look at that.
Look at all the bud.
Great sharing. All right. Yeah, it was live in here. Damn.
Oh yeah.
People play some bets.
Just yesterday we had a Call of Duty League Majors tournament, so we had some people play on that. I believe Optic came away with the win. I believe it was something like $150,000 to $175,000 for first place. They came in first. Toronto Ultra squeaked out second, and the Atlanta FaZe actually came in third.
That's awesome.
Justin, you said that was yesterday?
Yeah, it just finished up yesterday.
Okay.
It was all weekend.
Yeah. I seen it started. I did not see it complete, so I had no idea who won.
Yeah, Optic squeaked away with it.
Nice. So as you can see, many different things to do in the community.
Absolutely.
Drew, here, Zeke. Sorry, brother. People. Big watch party.
A couple cooking streams going on yesterday in there. It's been popping.
people all over the country. We are
Yeah.
trying to, bring some people together over, some video games, some cannabis.
Meeting new people too, just like-minded people.
So check it out. We do have that available for anybody who would like to partake. I think we'll call it here today. Trevor is said he's busy driving around at this point, and we'll get out of here.
Sounds good. I just want to reiterate, if anybody that's interested in games, tell them to join the esports. I tell people all the time, you don't have to be a fan of any specific game. Just come check it out, take a peek, see if there's anything in there that might trip your fancy, and join in, be active in it. It's a good time, good people, worth taking a peek at.
Absolutely.
I'm waiting for Trevor to get in there more. But... All right, we're gonna bounce out of here. Everyone have a good Monday.
Peace.